I was born noble and rich. Being a duke's daughter had all those perks, but what I wasn't given was my freedom. I wanted to be a knight. While watching my elder brother, Oliver, learn swordsmanship and other weapons, I had always wanted to train with him, but my father wouldn't let me because I was a girl. He had other plans for me. I was taught embroidery, cooking, musical instruments, and all other things that noble ladies need to know from a young age. In return for turning down my request to learn swordsmanship, I made my father agree to arrange singing lessons for me. In the beginning, he was against this too, but my brother helped me convince him, and so my singing lessons began. When I turned 12, I was already engaged to Marquis Damien. He was 4 years older than me, and the eldest son of the late Marquis Cedric, my father's best friend. He inherited his father's title at the age of 10 when his father passed away due to an incurable illness. My mother and father's marriage was an arranged marriage too, and they didn't have any fallout, so I thought my married life would be a happy one too. I suppressed my wish to be a knight and started preparing myself to be a good wife while waiting for the day when I would turn 18 and be wedded off. After all, I was not the only girl in our society who had to suppress her wishes or dreams. During tea parties with the other girls from noble families, I had known enough that they all had dreams, but almost all of them were going to have the same fate, being married off and not being able to make their wishes come true. I used to have thoughts of becoming the first lady to change my fate and inspire others to do so, but now I was also the one about to have the same fate as them. I wasn't happy about the idea of giving up on my dreams, but at the same time, I was happy to have a good married life ahead of me, which was also a dream for all girls my age, but not everyone could achieve it. I used to accompany my fiancé at formal and social events hosted by other nobles as his partner. He was handsome with black hair and brown eyes, and always kind to me and everyone else around him. People would always speak about how lucky I was to be engaged to a gentleman like him. The year I was about to turn 18, and my 18th birthday was just a few months away, all the nobles were invited to the capital for a grand celebration of the crown prince's coming of age ceremony. It was a 3-week event, so we would have to stay in the capital for all those weeks. Due to being busy making arrangements for my upcoming wedding, my father couldn't go, so he let me, my mother, and my elder brother Oliver go. Oliver, the future duke, was the crown prince's best friend and the only princess's fiancé. I was relieved to be away from home for a while, where no one would be watching my every step. Oliver was 2 years older than me. He was not like my father. He was kind, funny, and had always supported me since we were little, whenever he could. He was secretly teaching me swordsmanship and self-defense whenever our father was away from home. And he was the one to suggest singing lessons to me too, which I was so grateful for. I could forget everything while I was singing and playing musical instruments. Marquis Damien was also going to the capital with us, along with his sister Charlotte. She was one of my tea party besties, so I was excited to spend time with her. I had thought it was going to be so much fun since all the people I cared about the most in the whole world were going to be with me during all those weeks. I had already planned our shopping trips, theater visits, and so much more during our stay in the capital. We were to depart together with Damien and his sister, since it was a 4-day-long journey, and we were almost a family. The day we were to depart, we packed our luggage in the carriage and went to Damien's place to pick them up. But it was only Damien and his servants who showed up. He told us that Charlotte had suddenly fallen ill and apologized on her behalf for not being able to go. It felt weird because she seemed so healthy and energetic just yesterday when we had met to plan our final trips in the capital. She had even prepared a special gift for the Crown Prince's birthday. But I didn't think too much about the possibility of Damien lying. Then began our 4-day-long journey on carriages. I was riding with my mother and brother, and Damien was riding alone. We had offered him a seat in our carriage, but he said that Charlotte's sickness seemed contagious, so he didn't want to risk making us sick if he had gotten sick as well. This also seemed a little weird to me, but since the reason he mentioned was possible, I didn't doubt him. During the second night of our departure, We were staying at an inn. While I was sleeping in my room, someone knocked on my door. I thought it could be Damien or Oliver, but when I opened the door, it was Charlotte's personal maid, Lucy. She apologized for disturbing me late at night, but said it was urgent and that she was there on her Lady Charlotte's order to give me a note in secret. It had to be as soon as possible and in secret. Because she couldn't meet me earlier due to Damien staying separately with his servants, she thought this was the right time. She handed me the note and began to leave. But I stopped her and asked her to wait until I read the note because I might have some questions later on. I asked her to come in and close the door. Then, under the lantern's light, I read the note, and it changed my life forever. It said that Damien was cheating on me for several months. The reason why Charlotte couldn't come was that she was locked in her room by Damien after she found out about his mistress. She had accidentally listened to their secret conversation the day before departure after returning from my home. The mistress was going to the capital with him dressed as a maid. Charlotte confronted him right away and asked him to break off the engagement with me, but he locked her up so that she couldn't reveal anything to me or my family. When Lucy brought food to her room, she handed the note to her in secret and asked her to go on the trip to be able to pass on the note to me. My hands started shaking after reading the note. Charlotte had no reason to lie. Even if she did, I was going to confirm it myself. I asked Lucy if she knew who the mistress was among the maids. She nodded and said that she could be with Damien right now and I could confirm the truth with my own eyes. I asked her to leave and headed to Damien's room to confirm the truth. Before I could knock on his room's door, I heard a girl's voice. It was not Lucy or any other maid I knew. She was speaking in hushed tones, and I could hear their slow laughter. It felt as if they were mocking me. What I heard from their conversation was enough for me to know what was going on. I heard Damien saying, "Accidents can happen, and in accidents, people can lose their lives. If her brother is no more, there will be no successor. So of course, as a family, and the current duke's daughter's husband, the next duke will be me. After that, I will get rid of her the same way as her brother, or even kill her myself. She will be the easiest to get rid of. Then, I will marry you." Listening to his vicious plan made my blood boil. I couldn't believe what I had just heard. I had never felt this much rage or the feeling of betrayal before. I felt like tearing that man apart right then, but that wouldn't help in the long run. Instead, I would be blamed and his wrongdoings would be ignored. My father or society wouldn't believe me. Without solid proof, I couldn't do anything. Not only did he cheat on me, but was also planning my family's ruin. I wanted to teach him a lesson in his own deceptive ways. So I decided to be patient until we reached the capital to execute a marvelous plan. When the next morning we began our journey, I didn't invite him to join us anymore. On the way, when we stopped our carriages in a field during the day to take a break, I told Oliver everything. He was shocked to learn about Damien's truth. He drew his sword and was about to go to Damien in rage, but I stopped him and asked him to wait for the right moment. I told him that I was planning something which would not only help me break off the engagement, but will also bring Damien's true face in front of everyone. Oliver agreed to help me in my plan. Breaking off the engagement won't be easy in this society, but not impossible. I didn't just want to break off the engagement. I wanted to teach him and that mistress a lesson they would never forget. After we reached our villa in the capital, Damien and his servants came with us too. He was also going to stay with us as we had agreed before. We had reached early as the royal celebration was around a week away. It was a perfect opportunity to execute my plan. I requested my mother to have a small party for me in the capital as a celebration for my upcoming birthday, since due to the wedding scheduled on my birthday, my coming-of-age ceremony was not going to happen. She agreed, and we sent out invitations to only the most influential nobles who had already reached the capital for the Crown Prince's birthday celebration. Among them were Lady Beretta, the Duchess of Arvon, and the sister of the current emperor. She was a hawk for scandal. Another most powerful noble among them was Sir Philip, the emperor's inquisitor, who was known for his sense of justice. Both of them were perfect for my plan. They won't say no to the Duchess's invitation, and we're going to come for sure. My party was scheduled 2 days later, and all the servants were being assigned duties to make preparations on time. Damien's servants were also among them, which meant I could put my plan in action. With Lucy's help, I found out who the mistress was among the servants. Her name was Ruby, and she was one of the 5 daughters of a lesser noble in our estate. She would always stay with Damien wherever he went, in the pretense of serving him. While standing in the hall overseeing the decorations, I was thinking of my plan of separating her from Damien to agitate her so that she would act the way I wanted her to. I saw Damien enter the manor from his morning training. He approached me with a sheepish smile on his face, and behind him was Ruby holding his jacket. It was very difficult to hold my anger in front of them, but somehow I managed. I had to endure it. He asked me how the preparations were going and if he could help. This was exactly what I wanted him to say. I told him that Mother and Oliver had gone to the palace to pay their respects to the royal family, and there was an urgent need to buy some stuff from the market. Because I couldn't take any servants with me due to all of them being busy, I asked him if he could lend me Ruby for my market visit. Hearing this, Ruby's happy expression changed to a shocking one. Being a noble, she wasn't used to serving others, and from her expression, she clearly didn't want to go with me. He offered to go with me himself, but I refused, saying that I needed someone to oversee preparations at home, so Ruby and Lucy would suffice for my visit, as I had to carry a lot of stuff. I had deliberately sent the butler with my mother and Oliver, so that Damien would have to stay at home. He tried to change my mind, but I didn't agree, so he had to let Ruby go with me. When I came out of the house with Ruby and Lucy, as per our prior plan, I sent Lucy on a separate carriage in the pretense of sending her to a different shop to shorten the shopping time. Now it was me and Ruby in the carriage alone. She clearly didn't look happy but wasn't able to say anything. First, we went to a boutique. I bought lots of clothes and asked her to carry the boxes to the carriage. She didn't have a choice. With a frown, she carried the boxes one by one. Then, one after another, I went to different shops and bought so many things which Ruby had to carry for me to the carriage. She was completely exhausted and irritated. I could tell by just looking at her that she would cry at any moment now. She was definitely going to complain to Damien about this after returning home. Not today, darling, I thought. When we returned home, I asked her to remove everything from the carriage and bring it inside the manor. In an angry voice, she shouted, "No." I said, "What did I just hear? A maid saying no to work? Or perhaps, you're not a maid?" She was shocked after hearing this. She immediately apologized for her rudeness and started emptying the carriage and bringing the stuff to the manor. Seeing her doing all of that, Damien came out and asked her to go to the kitchen. He himself started carrying the boxes and bags full of stuff I had bought. What a sight to behold, I thought. I was sure Ruby must be crying now. Leaving Damien there, I went straight to the kitchen and saw her crying and shouting at the other maids. They may have asked her to do something, after which her anger burst out. I approached them and asked Ruby to make tea for me and to bring it to my room. I didn't want Damien to reach her yet. When she came to my room with tea, I asked her to rearrange the stuff that I had just bought for my room while I sat on the sofa sipping tea. She had completely lost it from inside. Her face was red with anger, and her hair was messy. But she couldn't say anything to me, as she could ruin Damien's plan by saying or doing something to me. I was enjoying this view. It was just the beginning. My revenge had begun. It took her around 2 hours to complete her work. It was evening now. Damien came and asked for her. He seemed a little angry from the way he talked to me. He said that he wanted to give Ruby some work and wanted to take her from there. I refused and said that I needed her because she was very good with her work, and he could ask male servants to do his job. Anger was now clearly visible on his face. He said in a loud voice, "You can't do anything on your own, can you?" and turned to leave my room. While on his way out, accidentally or in anger, he hit a glass vase with his hand. The vase came down on the floor and broke into small pieces. He apologized to me for breaking the vase and asked me to get it cleaned and left the room. The audacity! I looked at Ruby, who was in disbelief that he actually left her with me. I asked her to clean the vase, which she did without complaining. While cleaning the vase, she hurt her finger with the glass shards. I asked her to go and get her finger treated. She left the room and didn't come back, but I made sure she won't meet Damien until the party. Mother and Oliver had already come back from the palace in the afternoon. As per our plan, Oliver took Damien to the training grounds, saying that he couldn't spar today because he had gone to the palace, so he wanted to spar now. They stayed there till the sunrise. The next morning, I made sure me and my mother had enough work for Ruby to keep her busy. Tonight was the party. When the night fell, the guests started entering the ballroom. Duchess Beretta and Sir Philip also came. Everyone was extending their greetings and giving me gifts. Me and my mother were greeting ladies, while Damien and Oliver were greeting and chatting with all noblemen. The ballroom was on the ground floor and was connected to a music room on the upper floor via an open indoor balcony that overlooked the ballroom. The acoustics there were excellent. If someone sang or talked loudly in the music room, they could be heard in the ballroom if the ballroom was quiet. But Damien and Ruby didn't know that. I saw Ruby serving food to the nobles along with other servants. She was angry and glaring at Damien whenever she could get the chance. Damien wasn't openly showing his emotions, but he seemed to be looking her way too, while talking to others. When the music began, everyone started dancing. He was alone now. It was the time for my plan's grand finale. I walked to Ruby and thanked her for her hard work and asked her to go rest in the room upstairs. She immediately put down the food tray on the table. On her way to the room, she passed by Damien and said something to him, which I couldn't understand, but I knew that she must have asked him to follow her. She was very upset with him and was going to take out all her anger on him. I had made sure all other rooms were locked except the music room so that she would enter only this room along with Damien. When Damien left, thinking no one was looking at him, I stopped the music. Getting everyone's attention, I announced that I was going to perform a musical performance for everyone as a thanks to join our family on short notice. There was a loud applause before everyone fell quiet, but not for long because something I had been planning on had begun upstairs, in the music room. Damien and Ruby were arguing. She couldn't complain to him earlier or talk to him and was frustrated with me for treating her as a maid. She was out of control because of anger. She shouted, "What's going on? You promised me you will marry me, Damien. Now you're not even able to stop her from abusing me? You're pathetic. I can't do this anymore." Then followed Damien's voice. "Keep your voice down. Haven't I told you thousands of times already that she is needed for my plan? Once I marry her, Oliver will get killed in an accident, and I will become the next duke. Then she will no longer be needed." A loud collective gasp echoed through the ballroom. Everyone was shocked to hear their conversation. One nobleman said, "That voice? Is that Marquis Damien?" And Sir Philip said, "Did he say, 'Kill Lord Oliver'?" The entire ballroom fell deathly quiet. Every guest was staring upward toward the gallery, listening to the heated argument. Ruby shouted again, "I can't do a servant's work anymore. If this goes on, I will kill her myself before you even marry her." Damien said angrily, "I told you. Oliver dies in an accident. I become the duke. Then she follows after him in a few months, and I marry you. That's the plan." Everyone was frozen in their places, including my mother, who was learning of this for the first time. Suddenly, Ruby rushed out of the music room in the balcony, and behind her was Damien. When both of them saw everyone looking up, they turned pale. I smirked while looking at their pale faces and clapped. Damien stammered, "This isn't." I interrupted him. "You cheated on me, Damien. You plotted to kill my brother and me, and you were foolish enough to speak of your evil plan aloud, at my party in front of all the nobles. You are a dead meat now." Ruby was devastated. She sat on the floor crying. Panicked, Damien rushed down the stairs, and while pointing his fingers at me, he shouted, "This is a setup! She tricked me! None of this proves anything!" "Are you kidding me? This foolish man thinks that everyone will believe him?" Everyone was annoyed at him now. Lord Philip spoke. "I heard every word, Lord Damien, as did half the nobility of this country." Duchess Beretta said, "We don't take kindly to treachery and attempted murder. Soon, the entire country will know who you truly are." She was going to spread word of his betrayal far and wide. I was sure of it. All other nobles also started cursing him. Soon after, Damien and Ruby were detained by the royal guards. A trial was held the next day, and by the royal order, he was stripped of his title, which was going to be passed on to his sister per my request. I proved through her secret note that she was innocent and had tried to stop him. It was thanks to her only that I found out Damien's plan. Otherwise, he would have been successful. He and Ruby were given a life sentence. Sir Philip and the Crown Prince made sure of that. I was relieved now. It was a perfect revenge. In the midst of all of this, me, Mother, and Oliver enjoyed the Crown Prince's coming-of-age ceremony. After hearing Damien's news, my father rushed to the capital and joined us during the second week of the celebration banquet. He praised me and Oliver for saving our family and told me that he would allow me to learn swordsmanship as an award. I was elevated with joy. It was another victory for me. After arriving at the banquet, the Emperor and the Empress announced that they were beginning the selection for the future Crown Princess very soon. I immediately looked at my father. He was thinking of something while smirking, and I knew exactly what he was thinking. I said to him, "Not again, father," and we all laughed.